Well, let's bring in Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, who sits on the House Judiciary Committee. Chairman, man of the hour, man of the day. I saw that this morning. You picked up the one word, the one change. They moved the goalposts again. The financially involved. Let's refresh the audience real quick.
Here I am, Mr. Chairman, taking up your offer when you said we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. Well, I've chosen. I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions.
All right, so Congressman Chairman, he doesn't have that choice, does he?
No, that's not how investigations work. You always do the depositions. You get the documents, you do the depositions, and then you have the public hearings. And we'd be glad to have him come in at a public hearing after we first get a chance to interview him in a private setting. Because in a public hearing, you got speeches and filibusters and people trying to get a viral moment. In an interview, in a deposition, it's 1 hour one side, 1 hour the other side, lawyers asking the question. I mean, you can ask tons more questions and get the facts, which is our job when it comes to doing oversight, get the facts for the American people. So every big investigation I've been in, whether it was the IRS targeting conservatives, whether it was on the Benghazi Select Committee, whether it was during impeachment, it always operates this way. This is how our system works, I guess, unless your name is Biden.
So, Congressman, let's take this. Because, so he doesn't show up for the subpoena. He says, I'm not showing up publicly, even though when you got to be ticked off. But number two, it goes to the vote to get a contempt of Congress, which you'll likely get, I'm guessing, inside the House. But then it gets a little bit murky there. So tell us what the next process is. Because, after all, they did this to Pete Navarro. They got him in leg chains in an airport because they held him in contempt. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, but I think you're right, Eric. He flaunts it. He actually came to the Capitol. He just went to the Senate side outside. He didn't come to the Rayburn office building where we're having the deposition. So he was in D.C. He came to the Capitol, and I think just flaunting like, I'm not going to come for the deposition, even though there's been a subpoena. We will, I think, proceed with contempt. You have to do a report, and there's a markup of the actual contempt resolution in the committee, and then it will go to the House floor. I think that will happen. But we're also, the fact that he just did that, came and said what he said. And I think the key line in all his thing he said today was, he said, my father was not financially involved. Right. And that qualifier, that word financially, says so much, because we were told initially by Joe Biden, I had no involvement whatsoever. Then we learned Joe Biden was at dinners and meetings and phone calls. And now we learned that, he was involved in some other fashion, just not financially with the business. That's why we want to ask him the questions and move forward with this investigation.
So it was originally, and when Joe Biden ran for president, I remember on the debate stage, after he became president, it was, I've had no contact. I remember saying, not even a scintilla. I've had no contact with him. There's no evidence of that. And then it moved when they realized that laptop exposed some sort of contact. They went to, well, he's not in business. Okay, so that moved once. You proved him a liar once. And now it further moves again, not in business, but no financial dealings. Involvement. But that's different, because you don't have to be a business partner to get remuneration. So you can technically not be a business partner or financially on paper. And by the way, this 40 grand from a $400,000 payoff sounds a lot like 10% to me. So all yours. Yeah.
What's interesting is the White House story has changed, as you pointed out, multiple times. We were actually told one time, he did make some phone calls, but they just talked about the weather. To now it's like, no, he just wasn't financially involved. So it's changed multiple times. The Department of Justice's story has changed multiple times, from David Weiss and from Merrick Garland. And the two individuals, though, whose story has not wavered, whose testimony has been consistent, are the two whistleblowers. Their testimony has stood up. We've deposed 8 people associated with the Hunter Biden investigation in the Justice Department. Not one of them have refuted any of the facts Mr. Shapley and Mr. Ziegler brought forward. Mr. Shapley and Mr. Ziegler were in front of the Oversight Committee for a long hearing where they were subject to cross-examination. Their testimony stood up there. So that is the key to me, is those facts are just that, facts. where, again, the White House and the Justice Department, they've changed their story multiple times, including today from Hunter Biden.
You're going to get to it. You're going to get to it if you get that contempt of Congress. Then you can haul him in. But here's the question. Once you guys vote he's in contempt of Congress, there's another step, isn't there? Doesn't the D.C. court have to get involved to confirm your contempt charge, to actually pick him up and do what they did to Navarro and others?
We'll see what the Department of Justice does. We'll see what the Biden Justice Department does. You're right. They did it to Navarro. They did it to Steve Bannon. We'll see what happens here. It's supposed to be equal treatment under the law. We'll see what happens if, in fact, we move through that, which I anticipate we will. The other thing we're looking to do is bring in all of Hunter Biden's business partners. And our lawyers on Judiciary and Oversight staff have been talking with those lawyers. We want to talk to Rob Walker, Eric Schwerin, Tony Bobolinsky. We want to talk to Kevin Morris, the guy who paid Hunter Biden's taxes, a couple $1 million of his taxes, and we want to talk to Jim Biden. So we think that's going to happen, too, as we move forward with our impeachment inquiry.
Take a listen to a former colleague of yours, Adam Kinzinger, who's calling, well, listen, folks.
Well, they're supposed to take that Jim Jordan is an absolute hypocrite. Jim Jordan, in front of the Rules Committee, when we were talking about holding Steve Bannon or somebody in contempt, he said in front of the Rules Committee that the Department of Justice and the FBI should be the ones investigating Donald Trump, and that would be their role. Now, of course, he's against the Department of Justice and the FBI investigating Donald Trump. He's for the, sanctity of the subpoena by U.S. Congress until he's the one that gets subpoenaed by U.S. Congress.
I'll let you take that, sir.
Well, yeah, I don't know what he's talking about on the first. I have no idea what he's talking about with when he referenced President Trump. As far as the subpoena, I never said no to the subpoena. I sent a 9-page letter where we outlined all our concerns. We want to know how it was going to work, and the January 6th committee just dropped it. They didn't do anything else. So when they subpoenaed me and when they subpoenaed former Speaker McCarthy, I didn't say no to that. I just want to know how it was going to operate, and they didn't do anything. Frankly, why didn't they hold me in contempt? Because I think they were doing it for political reasons. They just wanted the talking point. Plus, we had caught the committee lying multiple times about me and all kinds of things. And in fact, they had to the committee even apologized when they misrepresented, changed the sentence, changed the structure of a text message that I had forwarded to the White House Chief of Staff. They got caught. So those were our concerns. We spelled them out, but I never said no to the subpoena.
Very quickly, I only have half a minute or so. Why didn't this guy just show up? Instead of, again, effectively giving the GOP House the finger on Capitol Hill in front. By the way, he did it in front of the Senate, not in front of the House for some smart reasons. But instead of giving you guys, just show up to the subpoena, just be deposed and take the fifth 100 times. Why didn't he do that?
Well, I think it's what you said last. I think he would have probably. Who knows? This is between him and his counsel, and they get to decide. But it's likely, or at least I think it would make some sense for him to take the fifth. So maybe he didn't want to do that. Maybe he wants to play this route and take it through court. What I do know is the letter his counsel sent to us said he's not coming in a deposition because we haven't taken an informal impeachment inquiry. But we're going to do that. So who knows?
Stay tuned, as they say on TV. Stay tuned. Chairman Jordan, really good having you on. Right man, right time. Thank you,
good
sir.
to be with you.